Okay, party people, we are back with another episode of Unfuck Your Body. We are talking about the neck today. Okay, there is a lot that goes on with the neck, and Dr. Arnika, our resident chiropractor, is going to tell us all the things. All right, so we are waiting for her to chime in, but if you have not checked out our other episodes in this series, please do so. We went from the ankle to the knee, to the hip, to the lower back, to the upper back, to the shoulder, to the elbow, to the wrist, and now we are on the neck. So you need to check out all those other ones. All right, so Dr. Arnika is chiming in right now. Again, we are going to go through the neck, and let's bring her on board. All right, what is up, Doc?
Hey, what's going on, Ty?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. All right. So I have, told everybody about the rest of our series and how we've gone through the whole body, and you ain't got no damn excuse to not check those out. All right. So now we're talking about the neck, and this is all you, girl. This is all you. I know you are just chomping at the bit.
I was sitting here like, okay, I need to hit main points. Main points.
I know. I can talk for 2 hours.
Fact.
All right. So let's talk about unfucking your neck. How do we assess, right? So is it fucked up? Sorry. Is it fucked up? How do we find out?
First thing is we got to check that full range of motion. So seeing if we have enough flexion, bringing that chin to chest, if we can look up to the ceiling with extension, if we have rotation both sides, and if we also have some lateral flexion. So we got to assess each range and see what we feel when we make those different movements.
Yeah, and protraction, retraction, right?
Like, yes.
Can you get jiggy with it with your neck? All right. But yeah, the neck is capable of so much, right? And it should have range, right? And it should also have control throughout that range. I mean, this is just a general. Important. I mean, that's the whole body, right? You need range of motion, but you need control in that range of motion. But the neck specifically, so responsible for carrying this big ass thing on the top of our body. That thing gets heavy. So if it's not in line, bad things happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Super bad things happen.
Really bad things happen. So yes, checking range of motion and making sure that you know all of the range of motions that you need to check in. So yes, flexion, extension, rotation, lateral deviation, protraction, retraction, all the things, big words to just say, can your head move in all the ranges? And if you are limited in one way and not the other, let's check out what's happening. Maybe it's, activities of daily living, carrying posture, sleep habits, all of those things. We'll get into that. Okay, so assessing range of motion. Obviously, the first thing we do is assess range of motion. What about carrying posture? Yeah.
Definitely how you're carrying your head.
Yep.
Plays a huge role. A lot of us tend to have this forward head carriage, and the more forward our head is, the heavier our head feels in our body. It's already like 8 to 10 pounds. We don't need to make it heavier.
So if you're my son, it's 12 pounds.
So we got to make sure that's where that retraction and protraction comes in, which we're going to talk a lot about later. Yes. But making sure that we can try to get our ears over our shoulders as much as possible, because that's going to give us the straightest line that we can between our neck and our upper back.
Yes. And this is something that you have to be hyper vigilant about. Like, you have to think about this all the time. I remember when I was commuting to the Bay Area, thank God those days are over. But I would be in the car and I would just catch myself and be like, shit. Like, I'd have to sit up. So I'd tell clients all the time, I'm like, imagine you're pushing your head into the headrest of the car, or that sexy double chin that we need to get, right?
But everyone needs a sexy double chin.
This is just something that has to be constant in the back of your mind, and you want to be proactive about it. So even if you don't have neck pain or issues or things like that, like, let's just get on board with, oh, hey, where's my head right now? Like all day long, sitting at the computer, doing dishes, lifting weights, whatever. Is your neck in line with the rest of your spine? Period. I say that all
Changing
the time.
that one thing, you'll be surprised at how much of a ripple effect it happens in your entire body.
Yes, because just imagine holding an 8-pound dumbbell out to the side all day long. Like, that's basically what you're doing. Instead of having it down by your side, you're holding it out to your side. So it's just going to be excruciating. And that's what this is, this 8 to 10 pound dumbbell that you are putting all this stress on your body, on the rest of your spine.
Right.
Not going to be good. All right. So SFMA cervical assessment. That's all you, girl.
Yeah. So one of the things that I go through in clients is I have them go through a couple ranges just to see what muscles they're engaging. So one of the biggest things, just 3 movements, I have them bring their chin to their chest. I'm looking to see if they can actually touch their chin to their chest. Next thing, I'm gonna have them look up at the ceiling. So I'm gonna look at extension and how parallel their head can get with the ceiling. Most of us never look up because we're spending all this time here. So saying if we even have the ability to extend is a huge thing. And the last thing I do is I have someone take their chin and try to touch their clavicle with their chin. And in order to do that, we should have the muscles and mobility to do that without hiking up our shoulder, without feeling like we have to turn and rotate. So I'm looking at what muscles we're using to compensate instead of getting that mobility from our neck.
Interesting. Yeah, I can imagine a lot of compensation happening just looking up. I can be like, oh,
yeah, I get a lot of the shoulder raises.
Like,
definitely. Yeah, I'm like, but you're not doing
up.
it.
You looked up, but now your hips are way over here.
Back. So, you're like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So being able to isolate from the neck to the shoulders up and get that movement exact from where we need to get it. So yeah, that's hugely important. And I can see like this type of motion being very easy on one side and then just excruciating on the other. And then you're just like, gotcha. I know what's happening now. Right. So, I mean, this assessment alone is just, it's everything, people. It's everything. You have to do your due diligence and make sure that you figure out what is the underlying issue. All right. So weak flexors and core, right? I've always found that assessing somebody's core is going to indicate whether they have good neck posture. You know, like everybody's like, oh, doing sit-ups hurts my neck. And I'm like, well, it kind of starts here. Like it's, well, that sit-ups, yes, but even just holding their head up off the floor, you know, like if you don't have that strength in the core, I find that it translates up into the neck and that you get weaker up there. You still there, Doc? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I had froze for a second. Weird. Okay.
Yeah. So I always tell people, like, let's assess your core, general core strength as well, because that has an indication of what, like, whether your neck, you can carry your neck or not, carry your head or not. But yeah, weak neck flexors.
Huge role. Most of us have them because the further out we stick, these muscles, these deep neck muscles in the front, they're actually supposed to be the ones to hold our neck back in this sexy double chin position. But what ends up happening is like our traps, which are so freaking tight, and our levators and all this is elongated, and they're supposed to be helping us control our upper back, but they're doing the work of these. And we wonder why we're starting to have like mid back pain or tightness in our shoulders, because these muscles aren't doing their job because they have to take on the work of the neck muscles.
Yep. Yeah. Similar to like the hip flexors, right? They might not be tight. They might just be weak, right? So we need to really go through the assessment and figure out whether it is an actual tightness or a weakness and then what's going on there. Yes. And that compensation, like something's going to hold your head up.
Right.
We don't want it to be the wrong things, right? Those traps are greedy little muscles, man. They will do the work. They will do the work. Sometimes we don't want them to, though. Okay.
Right.
So we want them to chill the hell out and make the other muscles actually do what they're supposed to do. So yes, if you are having, oh man, I just constantly feel tight right here. Well, what's your carrying posture like? How do you sit at your computer? How do you sleep? How do you drive? Whatever, all these things. All right, long distance runners, man, constantly.
Looking down, yeah.
All right. So yes, so we talked about protraction, getting those ears over your shoulders, pulling your head back, getting that sexy double chin. I know I love saying that all the time. All right. Yeah. So that's sexy. All right. Exactly. So is it fucked up? We've assessed, we figured out we're either dealing range of motion issues or stability issues, or we're just, you know, need to fix our carrying posture. So how do we unfuck it up? What do we do?
I like to start with isometrics, depending on what side they don't. Honestly, I just have people do all of them. I just like, you know, we need to do isometrics in all ranges. I don't even care which side's weak. So I have people do some isometrics so they can just honestly start to feel what muscles they should be engaging to hold their neck in. Some people cramp. They're like, what is this? I'm like, girl, listen, that's what we're supposed to be using.
Yeah, it feels tight. But now look, you can't hold it for 10 seconds. It's not tight, it's weak. Like you gotta use it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Isometrics in all ranges. I love isometrics. I love isometrics to start with anything. You know that.
Yes, I do. I still can't feel my legs from this morning.
All right. Everybody gets isometrics. They work. They're amazing. They make you get that mind-muscle connection. That's one of my favorite things. So when you are doing this, you can actually start feeling, or I brought my little towel where you can resist the protraction, right? where you go here, right? You can
Yes.
actually, yes, you start feeling what is supposed to happen there. And that's what we need to happen. We need you to understand what muscles need to work. And if you're just moving, you don't get that
Nothing.
opportunity to figure out where you are supposed to be in space, right? Like proprioception. Where is your body supposed to be? What muscles are supposed to be firing? You need to get there, and you need to hold it, and you need to connect with it so that you can own it. All right.
Yes, I can harp on mind muscle connection so all day, all
It's
day.
so
We
important.
have to
It's
be
so important.
aware of what these muscles feel like to
Right.
even start to strengthen and control them.
Yep. And sometimes you need to feel like, go ahead, poke yourself, see where you're supposed to be, right? Like that biofeedback is huge. It'll make you start connecting with that muscle more. So if you need to poke yourself in the butt to feel your glute, do so. If you need to poke yourself in the tummy to feel those abs, go ahead, right? Like do whatever you need to do in order to really, really, really feel it. All right. We have a question right now. Is it possible for someone to struggle to bring chin to chest due to their skeletal structure, not just tightness? Of course.
Definitely,
Absolutely.
definitely. We're supposed to have like this C-shaped curve, but I promise you, none of us have a perfect curve. I don't even have a perfect curve.
Right.
So over time, depending on where we look, we start to get that forward head carriage. We start to maybe straighten up and get a more straighter curve. And if our curve is straight and we don't have that curve in order to flex, it definitely can structurally have an issue. But that just means that there's some joint restriction, and we just need to have some movement, some mobility, and work on that curve. So it's definitely something that can be changed over time. And we strengthen around it.
Yes, exactly. And what the biggest thing is that we don't want to just fall back on, well, I can't do it because of my structures. That may be the case, but you want to minimize the rate of degeneration and the rate of getting stuck there, right? Because as you age, it'll get worse if you just say, well, fuck it, that's how I look. No, right? Like you want to minimize that rate of degeneration, and you want to do everything that you can to have the range that you're supposed to have outside of whatever an anatomical structure, impedance might be there, right? So yes, your neck might look a certain way on an x-ray, but how does the rest of the musculature look? How does your carrying posture look? How does your activities of daily living look? All of that, you have to be like, all right, well, I'm going to fix all this since I can't fix this, right? So that you can perform as good as possible. All right.
Yes, that's huge. I've read somewhere like, and I've this stuck with me forever. Structure does not dictate function. Like in chiropractic school, used to be big. Look at this X-ray. Oh, your neck is fucked up. Nope. But I'm like, she's been freaking running marathons for her life. So ever since I saw that, I have a scoliosis chick. Scoliosis is pretty freaking bad. She's running 50K.
Love it.
And it just means that we have to adjust what we're doing in her body. So her structure doesn't dictate how she's really living her life.
Absolutely.
So it's all about a customized plan for you.
Yes, absolutely. And it's never an excuse. You definitely just work with what you have, and then you do as much as you can to be as functional or normal as possible, right? Like everything outside of that, because there are plenty of people that are running around with no ACLs that are doing everything. And then you got somebody with a fully functional ACL that's like, my knee hurts, right? So it's never like, not never, but sometimes the scan is not what indicates the pain or the treatment protocol, period.
Totally agree.
Okay, so let's get back onto it. Isometrics, abso-freaking-lutely, range of motion exercises. Let's talk about cars.
Yes, neck cards are my favorite. So I see some people when I attempt to show them neck cards, I get a lot of this. I'm like, I hate this. We're not doing anything here. We have to have slow and controlled movements. Like we said, that mind muscle connection allows us to feel everything through there. So doing some neck cards is relatively slow and going through all ranges. So bringing that chin to our chest, we're kind of drawing a half circle, bringing it to our shoulder, kind of dropping the water out. I'm controlled and I feel tension through my neck, good tension through my neck as I'm rotating. Girl, it feels so good. I was doing this morning. I was waiting like,
I'm like, I'm getting relaxed just watching you.
I need to hit the whole body, but definitely my neck and hips are the biggest. I do those cards every single day.
Yeah.
And it just helps kind of warm my body up.
Every day. Yes. Yeah, because we're using our neck and we're putting so much pressure on this that it's not just a, every once in a while thing. This is something that you have to address, especially the older we get. I'm 41. You have to do it every single day. But yes, I love it. Cars, it's not just, can you wiggle your head around, right? It's not, I whip my hair back and forth. No, it's can you slow it down and control it and own it. And then what about one direction might feel good and the other direction
may not. So we need to spend some more love on the direction that it doesn't feel good.
Dose in an extra set.
Exactly.
Big fan. Big fan. Yeah. If you find that you're limited or one side feels harder on the isometrics than the other, dose in an extra set. We want to start minimizing that imbalance. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 2 sets of 6 on one side and 2 sets of 6 on the other, right? It could be 2 sets of 8 in one direction and 2 sets of 6 in the other direction, or it could be 3 sets of 6 in one direction and 2 sets of 6 in the other, so that you start minimizing that imbalance and start working on that side that needs some extra love.
Yes, don't shy away from it. So many people, oh, it hurt going that way. Then we need to shorten up that range and continue to go that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And discomfort is okay, right? Sometimes a little discomfort, like we need to get there. We can't just say, oh, well, that hurts, let's ignore it. Like you need to get there. Discomfort, I'm okay with. Pain, I'm not, right? And acknowledging the difference between the two, right? Like if it's a slight irritation and you're like, I'd rather not, but I mean, I can, then do it, right? But if it's a sharp stabbing pain and you're like, this is freaking miserable, let's limit the range or let's find some other alternative for sure. All right, so what about your T-spine? Is that important?
Yes, definitely opening up. We spend a good chunk of it, well, not me, because I get up and move, and I hope you all are too, but we spend a good chunk of time like this. So if our neck's out in front of us and this is constantly stretched, we need to be able, can we even stand up straight and extend our thoracic spine in order to bring this back? We got to start there because we're sitting in this flex position. So different things. I like taking a front roll and just doing some T-spine extension is one of my biggest things. I love the spinal rotations that I do every warm up, like something that just gets my spine, that T-spine, that thoracic spine, upper back, moving in multiple planes.
Yeah. Yeah, and this might be good to do before you even start attacking your neck, right? Like let's increase the range in your thoracic spine, open up that front part, your chest and everything so that you have more capability in moving your neck around, right? Somebody's asking, do you do these first thing in the morning or anytime? Depends on
I do them throughout the day.
All throughout the day. Depends on how inflamed you are, right? So it's if you're dealing with like acute, you want to do it as much as possible. I mean, like, let's just get in there, stay within a range that you can control. But yes, if you wake up super stiff, make it the first thing you do in the morning. Absolutely. Start lubricating. You can do your whole body in like some cars, right? Like just mobilize. I think we both have in the bed routine that you can do. Go to our IGs. We both have things that you can do in your bed first thing in the morning. I have a sitting up one as well, just to start moving your body. But absolutely. And then throughout the day, set a timer, make sure that you check yourself with your posture. You start moving your neck around, you start moving your shoulders. You can just roll your shoulders, like just constantly approaching those ranges of motions and doing something. The isometrics, you can do those sitting at your desk, reset your system. There, you can't really overdo these, right? So go ahead and do them whenever, right? Sitting at a stop sign. If you've been in the car for a while, let's go ahead and do it, right? Stop light.
I want to add something to that. Depending on how we sit throughout the day, a lot of us feel like our neck is stiff or that we need to crack or pop it. I challenge you, instead of doing that, to sit down and actually do some neck cards, because you feel like we need this mobility in our neck, when reality is our neck is supposed to be stable. So instead of keep adding mobility, let's start controlling how we're using our muscles. And you'll be surprised how much neck cards and controlling that movement takes away that tightness and not feeling like you have to get it popped. That's the biggest thing I noticed. Like, how about we move our neck controlled? You'd be surprised how better it feels. Yeah,
or even just that protraction. I love that squeeze, right? Laying down on the floor. One of the best things you can do for your neck, if it is actually in pain, is just laying flat on your back. Bend your knees so that you're not stressing out your lower back. Bend your knees, lay flat on your back. Make sure that your head is in line. And then just rest there. Allow the head to sink down into the floor. Once you're in a good, comfortable position, then apply pressure to the floor in about 5 to 10 second increments and then relax. But just allowing that weight off of your shoulders and getting your neck in a good, proper posture position by being flat on your back is hugely relaxing to everything that is firing, being like, oh my God, my neck hurts, right? So that's one of the simplest things that you can do to right now. It's crazy.
Client, we have some neck stuff. I'm like, lay on your back, we're doing double chins, because if you can't do it on your back without gravity, it's no sense of us standing up and doing this. You got to develop those muscles on your back. So I love having like a book or something, or like a towel, something that they can feel that they're pushing into. And I actually use that when people develop those tension headaches. When we have those suboccipitals are so tight, like especially if they have a foam roller, I'll have them literally at the edge, put their lip, like the occipital
Yep.
bone at the edge, and double chin. And when they do
Yep.
that, they'll feel that elongation happening.
Yes.
That's one of my
Yep.
favorite things to do. I do it when I start developing that tightness.
Yeah, no, it's huge. I should have done it last night. I was at the dentist. I was like this for hours with my chin tucked in. Not hours. It felt like
Yeah.
hours. It was an hour.
Me too.
Felt like
I was
6
there
hours.
Monday, like, oh my
But
God.
yes, and so then last night I was dealing with this huge tension headache, and I knew why it was there, and I was like, let me just do some CBD, and I'm going to bed. I'm like, I'm out. You know, I was not feeling good. Yes, but it was due to musculature, right? Like that's all it was. But yes, so pulling the chin back and do it whenever you want. Absolutely,
Yeah.
you got free reign to just do it all day long. All right, so pulling your chin back, yes, definitely working on that isometric and pulling back. I like to use the towel or a band. You can do this laying down on your back and make sure that you're in the right position, and then isometrically pull. Don't pull so hard that you're lifting your head up off the floor. The goal is to stay engaged with the floor. You can do them standing as well. But yeah, that protraction is everything. And then when you are laying on the floor, if you do not have the ability to rest your head on the floor, that's a huge deal, right? Like if you go to lay down and you're like this, that is something we need to address. And I see it all the time. I'm like, can you tuck your chin? And sometimes you get to the point where your structures, your bony anatomy has gotten to the point where you like literally can't lay there anymore. Don't force yourself to lay on the floor like this. Get yourself an ab mat or a pillow or some type of bolster so that you can access that more elongated neck. And then hopefully little by little, you can start decreasing that pillow size and get down there. But that's going to have a lot to do with T-spine. It's going to have a lot to do with positioning but that is something that you need to attack. Like you need to be able to sit in a nice flat laying down position. So
I know I've had more than a couple women, like on their first appointment, when I'm asking, like, what are we working on? They're like, so my neck hurts and I really don't want to get this hump. Like I've seen like old ladies get.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, we got to work on this, because if you sit all day like this, 30 years later, I'm going to be looking at you like, we got that hump we said that we want to get. So doing something as simple as those double chins on the floor and starting with something is a great start.
Yes. And if it is uncomfortable for you, that doesn't mean you avoid it, right? Like it's something that you need to put at the top of your priority list, that you want to be able to lay down on the floor with your chin tucked in comfortably, because that will just escalate and get worse and worse and worse. That is not something that just fixes itself.
Right.
Yes. Rest ain't going to do it. That's for sure.
At all.
So, there's also a fat pad there. It might not be a forward posture. I'm just saying, because so this is an inside joke with a bunch of my cousins and everything, but we all have this, like my family, we have this big hump in the back, and the bigger we get, the bigger that gets. And I'm always like, I gotta stay slim, so I don't have this hump in the back. There is a fat pad there though, okay? So you could lose weight, that might help it. Okay, so just saying, sorry, I digress. Okay, so posture all day long. That's another way to unfuck your body,
all
right?
Day,
like, how
every
are
day.
we standing all day long? We talk about this all the time. This will fix a lot of things that are going on in your body. How are you carrying yourself? How are you walking? How are you running? How are you standing? How are you sitting? All of that is very, very important. So check yourself all day long.
Yes, all day long. One of the biggest things I tell people is trying to make sure that our screen, because we're looking at our computer, laptop, whatever, bringing that up to your eye level so you're not looking down all day is a great place to start, because I can tell you so many people are doing this. So at the very least, if you bring it up and we're at least looking straight, that's step one.
Yeah.
Start by not sitting 8 hours by looking down like this.
Yep, absolutely. Where your keyboard is, everything. Like it has to be ergonomically correct, and you have to be sitting in a posture that is conducive to you being in line, right? Like you got to sit up tall. You have to do it. Squeezing your butt helps. Columbo says squeezing your butt helps, right? Like sit up tall. Go ahead.
Squeeze that booty, girl. Yes.
Absolutely. Sometimes you can put a pillow behind your lower back as well to force you to just sit up a little bit taller so that you're not collapsing at the lower back, right? If your lower back, upper back, and neck, they're all connected. Literally. And so your lower back, if it's slumped under, then the rest of you is going to be out of alignment. You need that lumbar curvature, right? You need that to stay there. So putting a small pillow behind your lower back will then sit you up a little bit taller, right? That helps for driving in the car as well. Okay, so stabilize. stabilize all day long as
All
well.
day.
Can you stop and do those isometrics? Absolutely. Do those throughout the day, especially if you're sitting for a long amount of time. And then what about pillow height?
Tell me about this pillow height.
So when you're sleeping.
Oh, when we're sleeping. Gosh,
Yes.
I was like, pillow height at the desk? Can I fit a pillow?
No.
Okay,
I'm like, girl,
so
what
pillow.
about those pillows?
Oh my God.
Ugh.
Pillows, I feel like, are the number one. I'm just going to make a stat here. Number one leading cause to neck pain after like death is how we're sleeping.
Yeah.
We either sleep with too many pillows, so now our neck is hiked up like this, and then we wonder why we wake up like with a crink in our neck, or we sleep with one or none, and we're sitting there like this. And we wonder why we wake up with a crick in our neck. And they're like, I don't know what happened. It's how you're sleeping for 8 or 6 hours. We have to make sure that our head is in line with the rest of our body. If you want to sleep with pillows, go for it. But where is your neck at during that position?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then again, check yourself throughout the night, right? You know, you're going to wake up. So fix your pillow, right? Flip it over, fluff it up again, put it where it needs to be, do whatever you need to do in order for that pillow to stay where it needs to be. But yes, you have to be in line with the rest of your spine. So ideally your pillow would go in, right? It would go up and into your neck a little bit, right? You can get one of those special pillows, or you can just get a pillow that is firm enough that it stays fluffed up throughout the night, but soft enough that you're not like, this is super cozy. But yeah, I mean, and sometimes it takes trial and error, right? Like
it does take trial and error. I'm still figuring it out, right?
Yes, but the pillow is going to be huge. You spend a lot of time in that position. If you're complaining about your neck and you're doing all these things, go look at your pillow, see how you're sleeping. Are you able to sleep with a neutral position in your spine? Going to be huge. All right, so we talked about, is it fucked up? How do we unfuck it up? How do we not fuck it up again? What do we need to do all day long? We've already talked about this, but.
Right. All day looking at where our computer is, how we're working, looking at how we're sleeping. Those are things we need to look at. One of the biggest things that even I struggle with sometimes, I'm not paying attention, is when we're working out, sometimes we focus so much on looking at ourselves that our neck is like,
right.
When reality is we need to be in line doing all kinds of things. So if you want to see how you look, I'm all for it, but record it instead of you gotta look in this mirror and we're like, yeah. And I'm like, but your neck is jacked up that entire set that you just did all those.
Right.
So make sure your neck is in line with the rest of your body. That's a huge thing that even I'm like, oh yeah, oh wait, let me put my neck down.
Yeah. That's on everything. And that's huge. That's one of the major things that I talk to clients about, or when I'm reviewing videos for all my clients is, great, the rest of you looks great. What's going on with your head, right? Like, and that happens on squats. Old school, let's just put it out there. You are not supposed to look up when you squat.
When did that become a thing?
It's an old school strength thing. It's been
really?
Like old strength coaches used to say, look up, look up, look up in order to push out of the bottom of the squat. Do not do that. The second you look up, you disconnect from the rest of your core, right? So have you ever tried to do a sit-up when you're looking all the way back behind you? It's not easy. It's not possible because you are not able to engage. You need to be able to tuck all that in to stay tight from your neck to your ribs, right? Or below your ribs, right? So you need to keep that in line. When you are squatting, your head needs to be in line with the rest of your spine. Do not look up, period. Okay.
I feel like I remember hearing that back in school playing ball, weight training. I feel like that was a cue when I had the bar.
So many people are like, but that's how I was taught. I'm like, well, unlearn that. Okay, so unlearn that. Do not look up when you squat. Do not look up when you deadlift, right? Your neck is supposed to be in line with the rest of your spine.
She was told that too. It's crazy.
Yes, the only thing that I say, okay, your neck could be out of line with the rest of your spine is when you're snatching or cleaning, right? And you're doing Olympic lifts and you need to set up at the bottom, but you also need to spot. You need to find something that's in front of you. So then you do want to find something on the horizon or about 8 to 10 feet in front of you. But that you keep your eyes on that. And as you're going through that range, your neck then gets in line with the rest of your spine. So it's really only there at that bottom position. Otherwise, your neck is in line with the rest of your spine. So that is the only time that I want you to kind of pick your head up and look straight ahead. Otherwise, you're going to keep your head in and you're going to probably end up looking at the floor at some point throughout that lift. Okay. So yes, lifting is huge. And it's not just in squatting, deadlifting, whatever. It's on pull-up position. It's on pressing. It's on everything. You don't want to look up and you don't want to overextend your neck, right? And you also don't want to let it flop down. You want to keep it tight and keep it in line with the rest of your spine. It's going to be hugely important, and it will transform your lifts. You're going to be stronger if you get control of that head.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That was, how to not fuck it up again, right? Fix your lifts. So assess your lifts and see what you're doing. Videotaping yourself is the best way to figure out whether you are doing it correctly. You can videotape yourself and then play it side by side with somebody that you know is lifting well. See where you are out of alignment, right? It's not rocket science, right? If it looks ugly, you're probably not doing it right, right? Everybody understands athleticism, fluidity, and movement. It looks pretty, right? Like you can see athleticism and efficient movement. If yours does not look like that, find the chink in the armor, find where you are out of alignment and start addressing that. And that's not just for the neck, that's for the shoulders, the hips, the knees, everything, right? Like what is going wrong in your movement? Videotape yourself. Okay, so carrying posture, obviously strengthening the core. That's going to be hugely important going forward with being able to control your neck. And then just keep moving, right?
Keep moving. Move more. Move more. That's my answer. Move more. And that'll already solve a lot of problems.
I literally just said that on a video review this morning. I had a client that was dealing with like some stomach issues or whatever, and he hadn't worked out for a while. And I was like, just get in there and do something. If you get through the warm up, great. If you feel like doing more, get through the strength, great. If that's it, that's fine. And legit, he was like, I'm so happy I did this. And I was like, movement is always going to be better than not moving, right? Even if you fracture your femur, move your arms, right?
Do something else, right? There's so many other bones in your body that can move. When someone says, oh, I did this, but you still have, there's the rest of your body. Move it.
There's always something else that you can do. And it doesn't always have to be knock down, drag you through the mud type of hard workout. Some type of movement, whether it's a full body cars or if it's just sitting in your desk and moving your neck around and moving your shoulders, whatever it is, movement will be better than not moving.
Yes.
100% of the time, really.
Period.
99.9%.
I don't care if you sprain anything. I'm going to be like, are we moving? We can still do some isometrics with you in this sprained ankle.
Absolutely.
So,
100%.
Right. That's exactly. I was in the car
ankle.
like, I know my ankle's sprained. I'm doing some isometrics. Leave me alone, right?
Yes. I'm like, if we're talking about a sprained ankle, we moving it. We moving it.
Facts. I'm like, you did what? No. I need you to go.
I feel like we talked about that like 12 weeks ago. Yes. If you haven't watched the ankle, we're big on movements. So, yes. All right. So, Dr. Arnika and I, what are we going to do going forward?
So we're actually going to take some time and do some exercises, some actual exercises going forward. If you guys have anything that you specifically want to work on, like things that you want to work on, like a shoulder, any issue, make sure you either send Ty or me a message, and we can definitely incorporate that into the lives that we're going to do going forward. So we definitely worked our way from the foot and ankle all the way up to the neck. And now we're actually going to throw in some movements, having to be more mobile in places, more stable, and just continuing to build awareness in our body and mind-muscle connection. So we're going to start that next week.
Yep, absolutely. So we went through how to assess and how to, are you fucked up? And now we're going to start working on joint by joint. What can we do to really unfuck you up, right? And so let's talk about and address 3 or 4 exercises per live on the ankle, on the knee, on the hip, right? So we're going to give you actual exercises that you can do instead of just me and her looking pretty. So if you have questions and something that you specifically want to work on, please send them over. We want to make sure that we help you as much as possible. But yes, that is what we're going to do moving forward. It's going to be great. We're going to have some exercises. We're going to be in the gym.
Yeah,
great.
Love moving. Show you some stuff that we do on a daily basis. I'm doing all kinds of warm-up stuff. We can't
just tell you what to do. We got to show you.
Right. So now you won't have any excuses to not do anything.
No excuse. You already don't have an excuse. Everything is Googleable. All right.
Googleable.
Everything is figure outable, and you can Google everything. So nobody has an excuse. All right. That was it for today. Let me know if you have any questions again, and then at Resilient Spine or at Ty Training. Obviously, you're here, but shoot over any questions and send this to anybody and everybody you know and love, because you know they're good. All right.
Right. And you know their neck is bothering them.
I know everybody's neck bothers him at some point. All right. We will see you next week. Thanks, Doc.
Perfect. Bye.